"How could you be so selfish?" my father shouted, his face wreathing as he paced across the living room. "Of their vacation home in Bear Lake, your sister needs that money for her new business venture. You have more than enough." I stood there stunned into silence, my hands still clutching the property tax bill I'd just been ambushed with. What was supposed to be a casual Sunday dinner had turned into an interrogation about why I wasn't pulling my weight anymore. "My name is Louise Walsh, and at 33 I've built a successful career as a self-taught day trader. I wasn't born into money. Everything I have I've earned through countless sleepless nights studying market patterns and making calculated risks. For the past 5 years I'd been quietly paying the property taxes on my parents' vacation home, covering my younger sister Megan's car payments, and funding family vacations without complaint. It was my way of giving back to the family that raised me, or so I thought. "Dad, I've been paying for everything for years." I finally managed, my voice steadier than I felt. "The property tax is Megan's business trips, Mom's medical bills that insurance didn't cover. I've never asked for anything in return. But I can't keep doing this forever." My mother sat silently on the couch, her eyes fixed on her hands folded in her lap. She wouldn't look at me, and that hurt more than my father's shouting, "We gave you everything growing up." Dad continued, ignoring my words entirely. "And now that we need you, you're abandoning us while your sister is trying to make something of herself." That's when I noticed the envelope on the coffee table, partially hidden under a magazine. The corner of an official-looking document peeked out, and I could make out the words "Trust Fund" and Megan Walsh in bold lettering. My stomach dropped. I reached for the envelope before my father could stop me. "Louise, that's private," he snapped, but it was too late. I was already scanning the document, my hands trembling as the truth revealed itself. In cold legal language, my father had created a substantial trust fund for Megan, only Megan, the same father who had told me for years that there wasn't enough money to help with my college tuition, forcing me to work multiple jobs while studying. The same father who now expected me to bankroll their luxury lifestyle while secretly setting my sister up for life. "When were you going to tell me about this?" I whispered, a cold clarity washing over me. My whole life suddenly made sense. The favoritism, the different expectations, the constant demands disguised as family obligation. I knew then that everything was about to change. My father snatched the trust fund document from my hands, but the damage was done. The numbers were seared into my memory. $350, zero set aside for Megan, with additional provisions for future contributions. All while I'd been told repeatedly that family finances were tight. "You weren't supposed to see that," he muttered, folding the paper and stuffing it back into the envelope. "Clearly," I replied, my voice hollow. "I guess that explains why you never helped with my student loans growing up." The pattern had always been there. Megan got dance lessons while I was told to focus on academics. She received a car for her 16th birthday. I took the bus until I saved enough from my after-school job to buy a used Honda. When college came around, Megan went to a private university with family support, while I pieced together scholarships and worked 30 hours a week at a local coffee shop. I'd always chalked it up to changing financial circumstances or different parenting approaches. I never wanted to believe what was now staring me in the face. My parents simply valued Megan more. "Sweetheart," my mother finally spoke, her voice gentle in that plating way I now recognized as manipulation. "Your sister needs more help than you do. You've always been so independent, so capable. We're proud of how well you've done on your own." The twisted logic took my breath away. I was punished for my success while Megan was rewarded for her dependence. All those times I asked for help, I said slowly, memories flooding back when I was working 2 jobs during college and barely sleeping, when my car broke down and I couldn't afford repairs, when I needed a security deposit for my first apartment. You said you couldn't help, but the money was there. It was just earmarked for Megan. Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Investment decisions aren't that simple, Louise. We had to think about the future." "Just not my future," I replied. I thought about all the payments I'd made on their behalf. Over the years, the property taxes on this vacation home alone were $8,700 annually. I'd covered them for 5 years straight, plus countless other expenses. I'd even paid $120 for roof repairs last summer without complaint, all while they were secretly building a nest egg for my sister. "The taxes are due next month," Dad said, changing the subject as he slid the bill across the coffee table toward me. And the homeowners association increased their fees again. I stared at him incredulous. After what I just discovered, he still expected me to pay. The audacity was breathtaking. Something inside me shifted, then a fundamental recalibration. I'd been played for a fool. But that ended today. I'll take care of it, I said quietly, picking up the bill. My father visibly relaxed, missing the resolve in my eyes. The drive back to my downtown Salt Lake City apartment was a blur. Snow-capped mountains that usually brought me peace seemed to loom accusingly against the darkening sky. I'd been such a fool. Once home, I ignored my ringing phone, undoubtedly my father making sure I wouldn't renege on the property tax bill, and pulled out my laptop with trembling fingers. I opened a folder I'd meticulously maintained for years, but never thought I'd need to use. Financial contributions family. The spreadsheet that appeared represented thousands of dollars I'd poured into my family's needs. 5 years of property tax payments, $43. 500 Megan's car payments I'd taken over when she claimed she couldn't afford them, $11. 68 The new roof on the vacation home, $12,000. Medical expenses for my mother's knee surgery, not covered by insurance, $8,200. Family vacations I'd funded under the guise of gifts, $22. 400 The total made me physically ill, $3. 830 over 5 years, all while my parents secretly funneled money into a trust fund for my sister. I scrolled through the digital copies of checks, transfer receipts, and text messages thanking me for my generosity. Each one now felt like evidence of my own naivety. My phone pinged with a text from Megan. Dad says, "You're being difficult about the taxes. Don't be selfish, Louise." I laughed bitterly. Of course she would take their side. Why wouldn't she? She had been the beneficiary of their favoritism her entire life. Another text from my father. "We're counting on you for those taxes. Don't let us down." No thank you. No acknowledgement of what I'd already contributed, just the expectation that I would continue to finance their lifestyle while they built my sister's future. The next morning, I called in sick to my home office and drove to see Joseph Klein, the financial advisor who had helped me build my investment portfolio after I started making serious money 3 years ago. "This is quite a list," Joseph said, reviewing my spreadsheet of family contributions. His eyes widened at the total. "And you've never asked for repayment." "Their family," I said simply. I wanted to help. Joseph removed his glasses and fixed me with a serious look. "Louise, your generosity is admirable, but this is unsustainable. You're hindering your own financial future while enabling dependence. This isn't healthy for any of you." "I know that now," I said quietly. "I just discovered they've created a substantial trust fund for my sister while letting me shoulder all these expenses." Joseph's expression darkened. "That changes things." For the next 2 hours we developed a plan. I would need documentation, notarized statements of all my contributions, formal receipts, a complete accounting of everything I'd given. Joseph recommended his colleague, a forensic accountant named Victor Hernandez, who specialized in financial disputes. "Are you sure you want to go down this road?" Joseph asked as our meeting concluded. "Family conflicts over money can get ugly fast." I thought about the trust fund document, about years of being told there wasn't enough to help me, while Megan received everything, about the property tax bill my father had pushed across the table with the casual expectation that I would handle it. "I'm sure," I said, my voice stronger than it had been in days. "It's time they understood exactly what I've been contributing all these years and what happens when that contribution stops." As I left Joseph's office, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. When it came to my family power, 1 week after discovering the trust fund, I sat in Victor Hernandez's office surrounded by stacks of papers. The forensic accountant had been methodically organizing my financial contributions to the Walsh family over the past 5 years. "Your documentation is impressively thorough," Victor noted, sorting through bank statements and receipts. "Most people don't keep records." This detailed my day trading background had instilled good record-keeping habits. Every transaction, every transfer, every expense, all meticulously tracked and categorized. "So what's the total damage?" I asked, steeling myself for the answer. Victor slid a document across his desk. The final tally was even worse than my initial calculations. $118,745. The additional $1 for $915 comes from interest you've lost by diverting these funds from your own investments, he explained, "based on your portfolio's performance over this period." "That's a conservative estimate," I nodded, feeling a strange mix of vindication And grief, the numbers made the betrayal concrete, undeniable. What now, I asked. That depends on what you want, Victor replied. If you're seeking legal restitution, we could build a case, though family financial matters can be complicated without written agreements. If you're simply documenting this for your own closure or as leverage in family discussions, we can prepare a comprehensive financial statement. The second option, I said, for now, as Victor prepared the documentation. My phone buzzed with text messages. Dad, haven't received the tax payment yet. Due date is approaching. Megan, Dad says you're being difficult about money. After all they've done for you, really, Louise? I silenced my phone without responding. Let them wonder. 3 days later, I received a notarized financial statement from Victor's office. The document detailed every cent I'd contributed to my family over the past 5 years, categorized by recipient, purpose, and date. It included a calculation of lost investment opportunity and a statement from Joseph Klein, verifying the legitimacy of the analysis. That same evening, I received a call from my mother. Louise, your father is concerned about the property tax payment. She began, her voice carefully modulated to hide any tension. The due date is next week. I know when it's due, Mom. Well, will you be handling it? You've always been so reliable about these things. The casual assumption in her voice ignited something in me. 5 years of payments without a single thank you. 5 years of giving while they secretly built my sister's nest egg. Not this time, I said quietly. A long pause. What do you mean? I'm not paying the property taxes anymore, or any other family expenses, but we're counting on you. The money is already allocated elsewhere. Her voice had a frantic edge now. To Megan's trust fund. You mean? The words hung in the air between us. Another long silence. Your father told me you saw that. Louise, you have to understand. I understand perfectly, Mom. I understand that I've contributed nearly $120 to this family over the past 5 years, while you and Dad have been telling me there wasn't enough money to help with my education or housing. I understand that I've been financing your lifestyle while you've been securing Megan's future. That's not fair, she protested weakly. No, it's not, I agreed, and I'm done with it. I ended the call and turned my phone off completely, knowing the real storm was yet to come. My father wouldn't take this lying down. He'd always seen my financial support as an obligation, not generosity. The next morning, I opened my laptop and made 3 significant changes. First, I canceled the automatic payment for Megan's car. Second, I removed myself as an authorized payer on all family accounts. Third, I transferred $120 from my brokerage account to a new separate investment fund labeled My Future. For the first time in years, I felt unburdened. The weight of constant family financial expectations lifted from my shoulders. The fallout was swift and explosive. By noon, my phone was bombarded with messages. I finally turned it back on during my lunch break, watching notifications flood my screen with a strange detachment. Megan called 7 times before sending a series of increasingly frantic texts. What the hell, Louise? The bank says my car payment was declined. Are you trying to ruin my credit score? I have plans this weekend. Dad is furious. Fix this now. My father's messages were more direct. Call me immediately. This is unacceptable behavior. You can't just abandon your responsibilities to this family. I ignored them all and focused on my trading day. The markets were volatile, requiring my full attention. Only after closing my positions did I listen to the single voicemail my mother had left. Louise, please. Her voice trembled. Your father is beside himself. The property tax notice came with a late fee warning. Megan can't make her car payment. She'll lose her vehicle. We don't understand why you're doing this. Whatever's upset you, we can talk about it. Please call us back. No recognition of the trust fund issue. No acknowledgement of years of my financial support. Just pressure to resume the status quo. I was composing a measured response when my intercom buzzed. The building security guard's voice came through the speaker. M. Walsh, your father is here demanding to see you. He's quite insistent. My stomach tightened. Tell him I'm not available. He's saying he won't leave until you come down. I sighed. Then call the police if he refuses to leave. Very well, Mum. 20 minutes later, I received a text from an unknown number. My cousin Thomas just saw Uncle Greg being escorted from your building by security. What's going on? Are you okay? I hadn't spoken to Thomas in months. I texted back, I'm fine. Family financial disagreement. His response surprised me. About time you stood up to them. The way they've treated you versus Megan has been wrong for years. I stared at my phone. I'd always assumed no one else in the family Notice the disparity. The validation from Thomas was unexpected and deeply affirming. My doorbell rang at 7:00 p.m. I checked the peephole to see Megan standing there, arms crossed, foot tapping impatiently. I opened the door, but BL locked the entrance. "What do you want?" "What do I want?" she repeated incredulously. "I want you to explain why you're suddenly acting like a psycho." "My car payment bounced," Dad says. "You're refusing to pay the taxes on the Leica house, correct?" I said calmly. "Why, what's your problem?" "The problem is that I've contributed almost $120 to this family over the last 5 years, while Dad has been secretly funding a trust for you." Megan's expression flickered, first surprise, then guilt, then defensive anger. "That's different," she insisted. "The trust is for my future. I need that security. And I don't." "You've always been the smart one," she said, as if that explained everything. "You've got your fancy trading career. I'm still trying to find my path at 31, Megan. While I pay your car payments and fund family vacation," she flushed. "You've never complained before, because I didn't know I was being manipulated. I didn't know that while I was draining my accounts to help the family, Dad was funneling money into your trust fund." "It's not that much money," she mumbled. $350. "Zero is a significant amount." Her eyes widened. "How do you know the exact?" "I saw the document." A beat of silence passed between us, then remarkable. Megan tried a different tack. Her expression softened as she reached for my arm. "Look, Louise, I understand. You're upset, but we're family. We need your help," Dad says. "Without the tax payment, they might lose the lake house." I stepped back, breaking her contact. "That's not my problem anymore. You'd let them lose the vacation home where we spent our summers. How can you be so cold?" I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw the entitlement that had been cultivated her entire life. She genuinely couldn't comprehend why I would stop financially supporting the family. "They have options," I said. "They could use some of your trust fund." Megan's face hardened. "That's not fair." I smiled sadly. "No, Megan, nothing about this has been fair." I closed the door gently but firmly in her face. 2 weeks passed. The property tax deadline came and went. I maintained radio silence with my parents and Megan, focusing instead on my work and my own financial planning. Joseph had helped me restructure my investment portfolio. Now that I wasn't hemorrhaging money to my family, the difference was substantial. I could significantly increase my retirement contributions and even consider buying a small vacation property of my own. My newfound peace was shattered when I received an email from Uncle Pete, my father's brother. "Louise, what's going on with Greg in the Leica house? He's asking me for a $10 loan to cover property taxes and penalties. Said something about you refusing to help the family anymore." "This doesn't sound like you." I sat staring at the screen, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "So my father was approaching other family members for money rather than touching Megan's sacred trust fund." I carefully composed a reply, attaching a PDF summary of my financial contributions to the family over the past 5 years, along with a brief explanation of the trust fund situation. Uncle Pete's response came within an hour. "Holy hell, Louise, I had no idea." "No one did. Greg's been telling everyone how he's struggling to help both his daughters equally. This changes things." The next day, my cousin Thomas called. "Louise, there's something you should know," he said, his voice urged. "There's a family meeting happening at your parents' house this weekend. Uncle Greg called it to discuss Louise's abandonment of the family. He's trying to rally everyone against you." My stomach tightened. "Thanks for telling me." "There's more," Thomas continued. "I overheard my dad talking to your father. Apparently they're planning to guilt you into not just resuming payments, but covering all the late fees and penalties too. They're framing it as you deliberately damaging the family legacy." The audacity was breathtaking. "Are you going to this meeting?" I asked. "Yes. And so are you," Thomas said firmly. "You need to set the record straight. I'll back you up." I agreed, though anxiety itched in my stomach. Confronting my father with the extended family present would be challenging, but perhaps necessary. When Saturday arrived, I dressed carefully in a professional black pants suit that always gave me confidence during tough negotiations. I drove to my parents' house with the complete financial documentation from Victor, including the notarized statements and calculations of lost investment opportunity. The living room fell silent. When I walked in, my father stood by the fireplace, clearly in mid-speech. Aunts, uncles, and cousins sat around the room, their expressions a mix of confusion and concern. Megan sat beside our mother on the sofa, both looking uncomfortable. "Louise," my father recovered quickly, "I'm glad you decided to join us. We were just discussing The family vacation home situation, I'm sure why. Where I replied evenly, setting my briefcase on the coffee table, and I'm sure you provided everyone with all the relevant financial information. His eyes narrowed. We're discussing your refusal to meet family obligations. Interesting. I opened my briefcase because I have 5 years of financial records showing over $118 in family obligations. I've already met money that apparently wasn't available to help with my education or housing, but was somehow available for Megan's trust fund. A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. My Aunt Catherine, always direct, spoke up. What trust fund? I looked at my father, giving him the opportunity to answer. When he remained silent, I passed copies of the summary document to everyone in the room. For the past 5 years, I've paid the property taxes on the lake house, covered Megan's car payments, funded family vacations, and more, totaling nearly $120. During the same period, my parents established a $350 trust fund exclusively for my sister. The room erupted in overlapping voices. My father's face flushed deep red. These are private family matters, he thundered. Exactly, Uncle Pete interjected, standing up. Family matters, and in this family we should treat our children equally. I hadn't expected this level of support as the room divided into heated discussions. My father's gaze locked with mine. In his eyes I saw something I'd never witnessed before: fear, the fear of exposure, of his carefully constructed narrative crumbling. And behind that fear, something even more unexpected: respect. The family meeting ended with my father storming out and my mother tearfully following him. Megan sat frozen on the couch, avoiding eye contact with everyone. The rest of the family lingered, processing the revelations. I had no idea it was this bad, Aunt Catherine said, studying the financial documentation. Greg always portrayed you as the successful one who didn't need help. Uncle Pat shook his head. This isn't right. The lake house has been part of our extended family memories for years. If you've been paying those taxes all this time, you should have some ownership stake. I hadn't considered this angle. The vacation property was titled solely in my parents' names. Despite my significant financial investment in it, I don't want the house, I explained. I just want them to recognize the unfairness of the situation. Thomas placed a hand on my shoulder. Recognition isn't enough, Louise. There should be consequences. 3 days after the family meeting, my phone lit up with a text from my father. No apology, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Just for her words, the property taxes are due. I stared at the message, incredulous at his audacity. After everything that had been revealed, he was still treating me like his personal ATM. That evening I received an unexpected call from my mother, Louise. Her voice was hesitant. Your father isn't handling this well. The lake house means everything to him, more than treating his daughters equally. I asked. Her silence was telling. Mom, I've contributed nearly $120 to this family. Dad created a $350 trust fund for Megan without ever offering me similar support. The disparity is as glaring. I know, she admitted quietly. I've always known it wasn't right. But your father makes the financial decisions. I finished for her. I understand, but this is where it stops. The next morning I texted my father back with a single attachment, a photograph of the complete notarized financial record of my contributions over the past 5 years, with the total circled in red. Noah, in message was necessary. The documentation spoke for itself. An hour after sending the photo, my phone rang. I expected my father's angry voice, but instead heard Megan's. Louise, she sounded shaken. Dad just showed me all the documentation you sent. Is it really that much? Over $118? Yes, it is. I confirmed, every penny documented and verified by a forensic accountant. There was a long pause. I had no idea. She said finally, Dad always told me you were helping a little here and there because you had extra money. He never said you were covering major expenses while he was building my trust fund. Her voice cracked on the last words. For the first time, I heard genuine remorse from my sister. Louise, I don't know what to say. I feel terrible. It's not entirely your fault. I conceded. Dad created the situation, but I benefited from it, she said, and I never questioned it. I just assumed I deserved the help. Another long pause followed. Then Megan surprised me. I'm going to fix this, she declared. It's not right. Before I could ask what she meant, she hung up. The next day I received formal documentation from my father's attorney. The property taxes on the lake house had been paid in full, along with a legally binding amendment to the ownership. I now owned a 25% stake In the property attached was a note from the lawyer explaining that Megan had insisted on using funds from her trust to cover the taxes and legal fees for the ownership transfer. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. This wasn't necessary. Family helps family. I didn't respond. His message revealed that he still didn't understand or refused to acknowledge the fundamental unfairness of his actions. Minutes later, another text arrived, this one from my mother. Your father is struggling with this, but I want you to know I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. I should have done the same years ago. That evening, Megan called again. I've asked Dad to split the trust fund equally between us. She said he refused at first, but Uncle Pete and Aunt Catherine back me up. He's meeting with his financial advisor tomorrow to make the arrangements. I felt a weight lifting, not because of the money itself, but because of what it represented. Acknowledgement, fairness, respect. Thank you, Megan, I said sincerely. No, she replied, thank you for finally making us face the truth.